Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a long time since I've been on here, but the only reason I'm here today is because we have an issue with my mom's car, the 2011 Hyundai Santa Fe. I did a video on this car a couple months ago, back towards the summertime, where the oil in the car was just being pissed all over the floor, and that was because of this guy right here. This is an oil pressure switch. Basically it just tells the engine how much oil pressure it should be running at or what the current one is, and what ends up happening is these start to leak out and don't continue to work anymore. I replaced the last one with an OEM unit previously, and this one ended up failing as well. The car started to leak, and it was actually below the low point when I went to go do an oil change this time, and I ended up looking on the floor underneath where the engine meets the transmission and kind of where the rear main seal is, and the oil drips were just about the same as the last time when I checked it, and this is what the problem was. And I also found a ton of oil all over the top of the transmission, which just means it was coming from that same spot again. What I've gone and done now is kind of taken the car apart. I went ahead and bought a new switch from AutoZone. I went with a Duralast one. Hopefully it's not the same manufacturer, which it shouldn't be, and hopefully this one lasts a little bit longer. Now everything is starting to go back together. I actually have the intake runners back on the car. I just need to put the whole manifold system back on, and it should be ready to go. But before that, there's a couple things that I didn't go over in the last video that might help you and might be a good thing to go ahead and change while you have all of these things off the engine. So this is what the engine looks like now. It's all torn apart. Everything's getting put back together right now. The injectors are out as well, but we're going to talk about those in a second. So here you can see all the oil buildup. You can see it like the shimmer from the pulls down there. You can see the light on it. So what I'm going to have to go ahead and do is get this all back together and then pressure wash all that off just so it's not there. I hate letting oil burn off because it leaves a very nasty residue on the car. So if I could just get this over to pressure washer, I could get that out no problem. So before I go ahead and continue building the rest of this engine back up, here's the manifold on the floor. The garage is a complete mess right now. It's winter time, so there's a bunch of junk just piled up in here. We just have enough room to work on the car right there. And we got a new compressor, but it needs to be wired up to our electric. But it is a big boy. And we got it for free. So this is going to make a lot of stuff much easier. If I had it today, I would have made this 10 times easier, just because I would have been able to take the bolts off without using a regular ratchet. Alright, so over here we have our fuel rail, we got our injectors on here, and what I'm doing right now is taking these old O-rings off. So I went ahead and grabbed some new Pro rings. They come in a 4-pack, so I had to get 2 packs. I won't be using 2 of them, but they're only about $4, so it's not that bad. And I'm just going to replace the bottom O-rings for the injectors, grab some motor oil, lube them up, and then pop it back inside the car. Now this is a good thing to do because, at least how I took it apart, these are not mine, by the way. Those are my dad's. The reason I'm going ahead and doing this is you have to take this fuel rail off pretty much anyways. Some people do it without taking the fuel rail off. Personally, I like to take the fuel rail off. It's a lot harder to get to those Allen bolts the way that I do it. I use an attachment for my ratchet that has an Allen bolt on the end of it. And if I use a regular Allen key, that would be much easier, and I wouldn't have to take this off. But this is only 2 bolts. And to me, taking this off literally makes it faster because I'm not sitting there fighting and forcing, a little Allen key around. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the O-rings because they look pretty gunked up. And probably just going to spray down all of the tips of the injectors with some electrical cleaner just to kind of clean it off. And reinstall the part, and we should be good to go. Before I finish, another good thing to do is replace your spark plugs as well. So I got some auto lights here. They're just iridium, made for the car or whatever, and they're already pre-gapped, so all I got to do is plop them inside the car and it's all ready to go. This is a good time to go ahead and do these since all of our spark plugs are actually exposed right now. Usually this entire intake system sits across and you can't get to the back spark plugs, so now you're going to be able to do that very easily. Plop new ones in, and we should be nice and ready to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna do a quick little time lapse, and we'll see you guys in a minute. Alright, we're going to give her a couple cranks and see if she turns over. It should take a second just because there's no fuel in the system. Obviously it was purged out from taking the fuel rail off, so don't worry about if you hear the car crank a few times. Alright, so the job is done. Everything works, obviously. The engine started up. You can hear at the beginning of the startup the engine starving for oil, and you can hear the lifters go absolutely nuts, and even afterwards. One of the hugest problems, in which I'll never probably buy another Hyundai in my life, is because they make parts so cheaply that they break so often. This pressure switch, basically Hyundai dealers go and tell you if your pressure switch is broken, and they probably know that, they'll tell you it's a whole rear main seal because of where the leak is coming from. And if you don't know better, you're going to go pay over $1,000 to get this rear main seal done, because that whole engine needs to be taken out of the car and disassembled, which is an obnoxious amount of labor hours. This pressure switch, I found out, which was my problem because of forums and people like you looking this up on your own and trying to figure it out, and knowledgeable people, you know, figuring it out for us. And then I'm going to go ahead and do these repair videos, so then you can kind of replicate it for people who have a harder time reading things or stuff like that, or a little bit more hands-on. So, to get rid of this very, very loud lifter tick is almost practically impossible once your engine starts doing this. These have hydraulic lifters on them, and where the oil comes out to change the load position, since it's like a VVTi, basically what happens is those get clogged up and then they don't squirt oil out onto the cams quick enough, which results in this very, very obnoxious noise in the morning. And it's probably not good at all for all the metal parts inside the car. The pressure switch does solve this a little bit, but basically once your engine is gummed up this bad, it's going to do this forever. You can't even get like a cleaner in there or anything like that that's really going to work. I've talked to a number of different people with these cars, and everyone has kind of the same consensus that they're just absolutely terrible 3.5 liter V6s. So, unfortunately, we're stuck with this car. We paid money for it, thought it was going to be good, so we're going to have to keep fixing it. This is now the second time I've had to replace this, this pressure switch that literally makes the engine look like it's pissing oil everywhere. So we're going to go ahead and do an oil change on this next, and see if the noise kind of goes away a little bit more. And I'll take a quick video of a startup later, and then that'll be about it. The camera's about to die, so I'm going to go warm up, charge the battery, and I'll catch you guys out here in just a little bit. Alright guys, quick startup. We're going to see if everything sounds a little bit better or not. I'll play back the audio from the previous clip of the engine making that really random noise, all the lifters, and we'll see if it has helped at all. So that time, it did it for a quick second, but it shut off a lot quicker than the last time. You can still really hear the lifters a lot, or it's maybe the injectors, but that sounds way louder than it's supposed to, I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm glad I kept that rolling because you just heard that shut off. That's very weird. I don't know what to say about it, but like I said, in the cams there's these little holes that squirt oil out of them, and if your engine apparently somehow in one of the places we took it to screwed up on the oil they put in it, and it literally came out like gunk. So we had to pay someone to clean the entire engine out. This is literally one of the biggest things that I hate, is having to deal with someone else's mistakes. So that's why at this point I'm just doing it for everyone that I know, like my own mom. I'm not gonna go and have her get her car destroyed basically, which is what happened in this case. But the only thing that's gonna allow us to understand whether or not this is gonna work fully is once the car cools off again, sits overnight in this kind of weather, and then we start it up again. If it makes that noise, obviously there's still an issue. If not, then that switch is what was causing it this entire time all over again. It did go away for a little bit when I replaced it the last time, so we'll see what it does this time. Alright, we are on our way over to clean out the engine bay. It's about 4:05 and it's pitch dark out already. It's also like misting out, so hopefully no one's here at the car wash place so we get this done without pissing anyone off. That's what I'm always worried about when I do kinds of things like this, because people are like, what is this kid doing? Like, why are you taking up all of my time in my car wash? So hopefully this is like a perfect time to go there and kind of knock this out, since I have to take the air box off, you know, unplug the MAF and plug up the air intake and kind of spray her down. I'm just gonna initially like get underneath where all the oil is. Wow, it is so bad. Wish you guys could see it. The camera definitely wouldn't do it any justice, but it is so foggy out. I'm gonna pressure wash the top of the motor, and I'm gonna pressure wash the bottom to get rid of all that oil that was sitting underneath there from when this thing was basically blowing up. Alright guys, that's the end of this one for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to keep updating you with anything that comes new with this car, if I have to replace anything new, or if everything is just absolutely perfect. Every startup so far has been good, but again, it hasn't sat all night, so I'll check in with you guys in probably a couple months once she breaks again. See you later. Thanks for watching.